Hey, what's up, guys? This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and today I'm going to talk about Electric Capital's new developer report. And this developer report covers what happened in 2022. Now, definitely recommend to come check these out because they have some very good information as part of this. And especially if you're doing research on altcoins, it can really provide just an insight that you cannot find anywhere else. And I will be incorporating this as much as possible into my other analyses. So I'll have the description contain the link for this report. So if you guys are interested, definitely check that out. So we're going to go over some very important parts that I've already highlighted. I'm not going to go through this entire report because it's 180 pages, and I just want to give you the best information and the most relevant information. So the first thing we have here is the importance of what they call of developers, right? And they say here that developers are a leading indicator of value creation. And that's entirely true when you consider the altcoins that have taken off. Many people consider Ethereum to be the number one altcoin to Bitcoin. And the reason for that largely is because of the fact that they have the most developers working on Ethereum. And then those developers create things like these killer apps, including things like DeFi, including things like NFTs and other value creation. So that's one of the reasons why it's so incredibly important, because if you have a specific blockchain or an altcoin you're interested in holding from the long run, then using this as a potential indicator of value creation means that in the long term, you're more likely to get a significant increase in the price. Okay, and I'm definitely 100% going to be paying attention to this and adopting this as part of some of my criteria for altcoins in the future. So next thing we're going to talk about here is the big picture. And the big picture here is that they've pointed out that there is a 5% increase in monthly active developers from December 2021 to December 2022. And this is incredibly important because we've had one of the nastiest bear markets on record so far for crypto. And this just kind of goes to show you that even though the bear market has been brutal for altcoins and for Bitcoin, there has still been a 5% monthly gain despite all the destruction, despite all the FUD, despite everything going on at FTX and all the fraudulent activity. We're still seeing an increase in the monthly active developers in the last year, and I think that's very bullish. So the next thing I want to talk about is the number of monthly active developers. And the way that the monthly active developers interact with the crypto prices is, traditionally speaking, as the crypto price increases, you also see an increase in the number of monthly active developers. Now, this happens for a variety of reasons, but largely speaking, it can be because of the fact that you have an increase in the price, and thus the blockchain has more money to go and hire these folks to work on the blockchain and the individual dApps and things on DeFi and etc. So the more money coming into the blockchain, the more you tend to see more daily active users and monthly active developers as well. This chart here illustrates that correlation. Next, I want to talk about the developer losses. So they also point out here that since the all-time high, the developer losses are mostly from part-time and one-time developers. Not really from full-time, though there is a 7% minus on that, but it's mostly from part-time and one-time developers, and that's not surprising when you consider the fact that they kind of jump around from project to project and they don't really commit to one particular project or blockchain. Next, we're going to talk about the makeup for these developers. So what we have here is we have Bitcoin and Ethereum accounting for about 28% of all developers in crypto, and that's actually increased from the past, in which it's been about 20% or so. But what we're starting to see is an increase in the number of others, of other blockchains and of other cryptocurrencies as well. So the majority actually lie outside of Bitcoin and the Ethereum ecosystems. Okay, 50% of developers work in the top 200 ecosystems by network value outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And as we can see here, that has increased dramatically over, I'd say, the last 5 or 6 years or so. It has increased dramatically. And that just goes to show you that there could be one of these diamonds in the rough as part of these altcoins that could grow to challenge Ethereum as an Ethereum competitor. And what we're starting to see here is an expansion in the number of developers outside of the traditional Bitcoin and Ethereum ecosystems. Next, we have a graph showing the Bitcoin monthly active developers. That's mostly remained flat in the last year or so, which is a little disappointing. And from my perspective, that it seems like a lot of Bitcoin developers have migrated to other projects, but it has remained relatively flat. Now, this is, again, in the middle of a bear market, okay? So again, as I talked about before, as the price increases, we tend to also see an increase in the number of active developers as well. And in the last year or so, we've seen nothing but the price decrease for Bitcoin. Now, in comparison, when you take a look at the Ethereum developers, it's up 5%. And the reason for this, I think, is because Ethereum is a little bit more of an infrastructure type of ecosystem in which you can build dApps and DeFi and also decentralized physical infrastructure as well. So that's the reason why Ethereum developers have increased even during this bear market. Now, the number of Ethereum developers, they've said right now, is at an all-time high of 14,691. This dwarfs any other time in Ethereum's history. We can see here based on this bar graph, it's not even close to any other time in the history. One noticeable difference here, I think, is in 2018, where you had the huge rise up in the middle of the bull market, and then followed by 2019 and 2020, both being below that level. And that's something we might actually wind up seeing for 23 and for 2023 and 2024. We might actually see a decrease in the number of developers. But for now, it is the most in Ethereum's history. Now, Ethereum, they have a kind of this graph here showing the number of developers or full-time developers gained or lost. And they also have specific blockchains named out here, so you can kind of see they've plotted them here on this graph. And so the leader that's furthest and away ahead of everybody else right now is Ethereum, obviously. And then below that, the next highest altcoin that has the highest number of full-time developers is actually Polkadot. And Polkadot has caught up significantly and made up a lot of ground in the time between the last year or so, going from 694 active developers to 764 active developers. Next after that, we have Cosmos, and then we also have Solana as well. There's Bitcoin right down here, but the reason why I would probably put Solana ahead of Bitcoin when we talk about the full-time developers is that Bitcoin actually, like I said, did not gain or lose any full-time developers, whereas Solana has actually added to their full-time developers. Now, next, one of the most important slides, I think, here, and this is something I'm going to be doing some more further research on. And so what we're seeing here is that we have a huge increase by the likes of Kusama, plus 25%, Polygon, plus 22%, Near Protocol, plus 22%. And these have had pretty massive gains year over year. And again, this is during a bear market in which these builders are going to work and they're putting together some dApps and they're putting together some improvements to the blockchain and the networks. And so those of you who don't know, Kusama is actually part of the Polkadot blockchain. It is their test net. So in a way, this Kusama can be kind of substituted for Polkadot. So you have Polkadot, Polygon, and Near Protocol to be basically the leaders of these active developers. And then you also have I like this graph here that kind of shows you, they call it the different paths to 500 full-time developers, but it kind of also explains how long it took specific altcoins to get to that path of 50 or 500 devs. So it took Polkadot 3.6 years, it took Ethereum 4.5 years, and it took Cosmos 5.9 years. And those ones so far are the ones that have gone over that 500 full-time dev marker. Now you'll notice that Solana is just below that number, and it seems like they've kind of leveled out a little bit, and they haven't been climbing. But again, all this has to be put in a context, and that context is this is a bear market. So we also have some of the fastest, they list some of the fastest blockchains as well to grow to, that took less than 4 years to grow to 150 full-time devs. And that is Solana, Polygon, Kusama, Near, and BNB. Okay, so it took less than 4 years for them to grow to 150 full-time developers. So those are kind of what they call the emerging ecosystems, those ones that I just named there. Okay, and then I also point out that Solana, Polygon, Near, and Kusama have the most total devs, so basically more than 600. So these right now are the blockchains that are really being built on in this bear market. All right, so BNB, very important to point out because BNB is one of the largest blockchains and one of the largest altcoins by market cap, but BNB has had a massive rise first and then a massive fall with these total developers since inception. Okay, and so the reason for that probably related to the bear market here, but we're probably seeing some migration as well from BNB to other blockchains. All right. So, and then they also point out some very interesting facts about Ethereum and what's going on in Ethereum. And so they've pointed out the fact that the number one gas spender, or the number one, the program that has the highest usage on Ethereum, right, is OpenSea. So for NFTs specifically, OpenSea is the number one, I guess you could call it, decentralized application on Ethereum. And then they also sort this out based on the type. And so we can see here they have outlined in this kind of turquoise NFT projects, and then they have in purple DeFi projects. And we can see here that NFT projects are on the number one, and then very closely followed by DeFi projects on Ethereum. Okay. So the last thing I want to cover is that there has been a 240% increase to the number of monthly developers in DeFi since what they call DeFi Summer of 2020. And so we've seen a pretty massive increase between then and now. And again, this all happens largely, or at least half of it has happened during a bear market. And they're still building on these platforms, and they're still putting together these DeFi protocols for decentralized finance. Okay? So that's all I've got for you guys today. If you like this content, let me know. Like, subscribe, and go ahead and leave a comment as well. What do you guys think about this report from Electric Capital? Does this raise some eyebrows? Does this open your eyes about some of the building that's going on, even through a bear market? I can tell you 100% this has opened my eyes, and it has been glorious to see the amount of building that's happening, even during all the FUD and all the panic and all that. Developers and builders keep on building. Okay? So that's all I've got for you guys. I hope to catch you in the next video.